Yeah, you guys should be hearing that loud and clear, and it should also, fingers crossed, be ducking with my voice. At least that's what I hear in me little face. You know what, I could just turn off the, hi. Let's turn off the little waiting screen we've got there. Hi, I'm the Space Quest historian. Welcome to us doing stuff to the Space Quest IV soundtrack. God, I hope that's coming out somewhat adequately clear. Summer's doing a great job of troubleshooting in the background. I realized you guys couldn't see that over the waiting screen. But anyway, she was, well, basically all she said was, is OBS having a fit? And it was, yeah, it is. Summer says, sounds fine. Well, I'm gonna take her word for it. Hi, I'm the Space Quest historian. Welcome back to Remixing Space Quest IV's soundtrack for vinyl. That needs an explanation, doesn't it? I've done one of these streams before where we did the Space Quest IV main theme and worked on that, which was great fun. And the goal of this is not just to have fun with the Space Quest IV soundtrack, although that is a lofty goal in and of itself and one that we should all praise. But anyway, the point of this, as you may have noticed from the title, is to remix it for vinyl. And what I really wanted to do was to have Space Quest soundtrack on vinyl. Just because I went to PAX in PAX West in September, and I picked up a couple of game soundtracks on vinyl. Picked up Grim Fandango and Doki Doki Literature Club. Again, don't ask. And I was like, why don't we have this for Space Quest? Because Space Quest has an awesome soundtrack. And I realized that, well, I was about to say no one has done a proper sort of orchestral reimagining of the Space Quest IV soundtrack. That's not true. There are some online. There's just always something like a little off about them. There's one, like if you search orchestral Space Quest IV, there's one dude who just ran it through, so pretty much what I've done here, just ran the original Meaty File through some software synths, and it came out pretty good. But there's just this little thing. Most of the crash cymbals were way too loud. And it's just like, if I'm going to listen to that for like 45 minutes, each side of a vinyl is 25 minutes, so 50 minutes. If I'm going to listen to that for 50 minutes, I'll go spare. But otherwise, a magnificent job. And also just, you know, to have some sort of like personal ownership over it. And again, ownership is not the word I really should be using in this, because I really must stress that this is an absolute non-profit deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remix, like I say, like 40 to 50 minutes of the Space Quest IV soundtrack. Obviously not the entire thing, because that won't fit on a single vinyl. But anyway, I'll fix up like 40 or 50 minutes of it, and then I'll put the thing on Qrates.com. Is it Crates or Qrates? It's Crates with a Q. Anyway, that's a vinyl crowdfunding website. And what you do there is you basically stick all your music on there. You split it into the different vinyl sides, and then you go, all right, now have at it, lads. Pre-order 100 of these, and then it'll get printed up. And if we don't get 100 pre-orders, then nothing happens. You don't get your vinyl, and, well, so much for that idea. So anyway, that's the plan. We're going to fix up the Space Quest IV soundtrack. We're going to stick it on Crates and see if 100 people pre-order a vinyl. And if 100 people pre-order a vinyl, then a vinyl gets made. And the only reason they have to actually pay money for it is to pay for the actual printing and shipping of it, which Qrates handles, by the way. That's not something that gets shipped to me and then I have to ship everything out. Qrates handles all of that. Okay, so like you can see, I'm just sort of adjusting some levels here. I think we're going to get into it. Yeah, you can hear the Professor Lord theme later. It was in the last stream. You don't need to hear it again. So what we're up to is Junior's Rescue. I'm just going to fix that one up, and then we can start listening to the original Meaty Files and see what other bits of music we want in. And I have helpfully cheated and... where'd you go? I've cheated and actually compiled a little list of tracks that I would like. I got the Sea Slug theme. Run, girls. For my countdown, got that one in. Monochrome Boys, Hunting a... Oh, thank you, Zombie Gamer. Again. Oh, are we adding Are we adding the famous Space Quest theme in farts? Nice callback to the Hypno Space Outlaw stream. Or actually after that, when I did the Space Quest III theme in the Hypno Tracker. There's a little music program hidden away in Hypno Space Outlaw. And it just basically took a fart sound and you know, played the Space Quest 3 theme with farts. Not gonna throw that on the vinyl, I think. If you really want it, and if we can get 100 people to pre-order it, we'll do up a 7-inch single with the fart theme. Shit. Anyway, Monochrome Boys, when they're chasing you down, because right now we've got the Rocket Bar theme, but we also want to get when the Monochrome Boys are chasing Roger around. It's not against the rules to split up individual parts and put them on separate tracks and add different instrument pieces. The overriding goal of this whole thing is to keep the original MIDI data as composed by Ken Allen and as performed as him. So we're not adding stuff in. We might add in a sound effect or in one of the pieces there, I had a little sort of build-up thing. I think that's okay because that's just like a little percussive thing, like a little addition, like a little sound effect stuff. I think that's okay, but by and large, all the instruments have to be the same as they were in the original game from 1991. But it is, I think, permissible to split up the audio tracks. As you can see, we've got all the audio tracks here, 1 through 9. Split them up into different tracks and add different instruments to them, because as you can see, the rock lead, this is a terrible name for a synthesizer, it's basically doing this. That's the little synthy stabby thing that goes on. Before I had a mess with this, I also had it playing this bit over here. Dun, 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 dun. But it just sounded wrong. Have a listen, actually, with all the instruments. It's too sharp. There's too much going on all of a sudden. So what I did was I plonked all that MIDI data into a separate track and found a nice little Michael Jackson 1980s style bass, which is quite low in the mix, actually. I was not singing the Star Trek theme, Vocopera. That is not, you absolutely know it was not the Star Trek theme. But there's still something sort of missing from that. It sounds very, very sort of bass heavy, but there's not a lot of oomph to it for some reason. And well, since we don't have any more data to work with, I'm thinking, what can we duplicate? Maybe double up some of the instruments, some of the low instruments, and maybe just give them a bit more power. As you could tell, I think it's Control. No, I'm just trying to remember the shortcuts for this fucking program. Oh shit! Oh dear God! Can you guys scoot back in place? Actually, yeah. Check this out. I have to move it one step forward. Is it if I hold down Shift? No. I want to duplicate this fucking thing. I want to hold down Alt. There you go. So if I have all of this shit, both the original synth and the Michael Jackson bass and whatever this thing down here is doing, check this out. This one's also playing the doot 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 doot. I'm actually not sure I want to keep that in, because maybe what happens if I mute that thing and just have the original synth and the Michael Jackson bass played together instead. Nah, it's too heavy. And yeah, I know, ironic coming from a guy who listens to heavy, but in the context of this song, no. I like that one because it sort of tickles your right ear. It's panned out to the right. But I kind of wish there was more to it. I kind of wish there was a bit more oomph to it. Okay, so one last thing I want to do is, I don't know if you could hear it, but there's this little There's a little brass thing in the background having a farting session once this stuff kicks in. Where the hell is that thing? I think it's the big brass. It's this thing. It's just doing what Summer was doing half an hour ago. So that's interesting, and I think we might want to keep it there for flavor, but I think we might also want to split it up, and I forgot how to split things. Control T, there you go, for future reference. And sort of give that an extra kick. I don't know, this with an acoustic piano, this is going to sound great. Not what I had in mind. I don't blame you if you say if the marathons take a lot out of you. Holy shit. I just wish I could have been there for more of that. You know, when we started doing the marathon streams over in the SQH channel, I was like, I would stay there for as much of the time as I could. I just can't do that anymore with all the baby prep and shit. We did watch a lot of it, like my wife and I on the TV, just stayed in the text chat. Maybe someday when the kid's going off to college or something, I'll I'll stay for an entire duration. Let's see, what can we do? What can we do with this? It's just basically just down. Also, why is it hard panned left? I didn't do that. Why is my phone going off? Did anyone hear that? So I think what we need to do is just have an appropriate fade out here, and Lord knows. Actually, let's do this from the top and see where a fade out would be natural. Let's just have a listen to all of it. That is going to annoy me so much. I'm just gonna fade it out in the middle of this. Like from shit, where are you? Master volume, here you go. I'm just gonna, like start fading it out from here to around here. Yeah, something like that. Right, so that's it for Junior's Rescue. Let's start a new project. And let's import some new stuff. So first of all, we need no audio tracks. We're not doing anything digital. Let's just add in, actually we don't even need that many instrument tracks, because once you yank a piece of Meaty File in, it just automatically creates all the bits that you need. Good God. Snap, yeah, sure, why not? Time, fine. Let's just hit OK. Right, so previously what we used to do was we would take the Space Quest IV MIDI as recorded off the game by Tom Lewandowski. Now what he did was he did a massive dump of the entire Space Quest IV soundtrack and just stuffed it all into a single MIDI file. And here's the track sheet, he calls it, basically the all the tracks and when they appear inside the MIDI file. So what measure do they start at and what time do they start at? And I was using this for reference until it dawned on me that particularly the Magmethius bar theme, actually in his recording it cuts off just before it gets to the jazzy Space Quest rendition, which is my favorite bit, and it cuts off before that. So it's like, how the fuck do I do it? So a lot of back and forth ensued on the SQH Discord, and luckily some very intrepid fans managed to somehow get me a meaty dump. Oh, Kikurame. I even put his name in the fucking folder. There you go. Basically dumped all the meaties from the game in a format that's readable by Mixcraft, which is very, very good stuff. So what I need to do is actually go back out here, bring up my tracks to rip, because that has the little number here at the front. The little number is the Meaty File. And we've had this one beats up a couple of secret policemen. I think that was the one we just did. What the fuck are you doing? Where are you? Oh, he's in this litter box. Jesus, all I'm hearing is like little scratchy noises. I'm going, is he fucking with my computer? Is he like yanking out every cable systematically until something turns off? It's like, by the way, I have cats, in case, you know, newcomers didn't know that. And one of them's taking a shit right now. There you go. So anyway, so this is the one we just did. And Roger Jr. throws you into a time rip is track 800. So let's see what happens when we just drag this up here. Boom. That's coming through loud and clear on the... That is coming through loud and clear on the microphone, isn't it? Now the microphone is actually... Oh, good. Because we've got a gate thing on this. A mic gate. It just... whenever audio is low enough, it'll just go silent, so you know. Zelda Immortal just came across your channel on YouTube and followed you recently. It fills my adventure game niche. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Cheers, man. Thank you so much. His Paul says it sounds like the clawing of a prisoner, just scratching his fucking nails out on the brick wall. Just let me out, and blood streaking down the walls. Okay, that went places. Let's do some music instead, shall we? Lucy says we need to see proof of this cat. When he's done. Maybe after he's had a chance to wipe. He just went in the other box as well. We've got 2 litter boxes. He just took a dump in one of them, and now he's in the other one, just poking around the other cat's messings. This is a strange cat, and he will literally be clawing at the fucking the side of the litter box for hours and hours. Eventually, you have to go down there and tell him to just knock this shit off. So let's see what 57 is. See if 57 has. That's the same file. But that has fewer tracks than the other one. So I would assume this one is the OPL version of that same tune, and then the one we dragged in a minute ago was the MG32 version. So these can go. Good, we're done. That would actually leave us to Streets of Xenon as per the intro. So we need to do the Streets of Xenon now. That's 48. I do not trust to see now when it says 48, that means, I think that means that the lower numbered ones are the ones with OPLs. So the higher number ones, the ones that go into the thousands, are the MT32s. Now I didn't realize that when I made this list. So wait a minute. Is there a sound font? Can I listen to a Meaty File in VLC? Is that actually going to play? No, it is not going to play. Well, hot diggity damn. For some reason, I decided to reload the patch. Anyway, let's see if that plays. I mean, now you can tell what that was supposed to be. I think if you've played Space Quest IV, at least you can tell what that was supposed to be. Not the right patch for it, because it needs that pitch bend at the end. Right, not the right patch either, but you see that little pitch bend at the end? That needs to be in there. Yeah, and then it just needs to sort of this one has a very sharp what's that called? The release. You got your attack, sustain, attack, decay, sustain, release. Yeah, if that makes sense, good. If it does make sense, I don't want to explain it because I barely understand it myself. But anyway, a waveform has an attack, a decay, sustain, and a release. And the release is like, yeah, sharp incline. So it needs to be more of a sort of flowy one. Maybe we can edit one in. Oh, good God. Yeah, see here, we got the attack, decay, sustain, release. So the release on this needs to be... Yeah, see, before it was... It just went like that, but now it has that nice, like, also you can barely hear that because I haven't put my mastering track on, my mastering plugin. I know you're not supposed to mix with this, all you music fans out there watching this at a later date or something. I know you're not supposed to mix with the mastering plugin enabled. I'm doing it anyway, because fuck you. Yeah, not sold on it. Maybe it needs more sustain. I don't know. Nah, it's terrible. It's terrible. Let's not fuck with this. Attack, Decay, Sustain, Release is my favorite supernatural MMORPG. Oh, that's very hard to say. Neviclink suggested change it into an automaton. I don't know what that is. I'm tempted to just search if there is a thing called. I'm just gonna go up to all and just see if it actually has one called auto. No, of course it doesn't. You're having me on, Neviclink. How do you like it? Let's try and do more of this. Let's try dreamscape things. Good fucking god, what was that? Oh god. Gritty and smooth. Well, that's certainly otherworldly, but not quite what we had in mind. Well, it tried. It tried its very, very best. Let's take this seriously for a moment. Nah, I thought like a lead synth would actually my mini lead. I need something with a slightly slow attack, but also like a. You know what I'm starting to think, and hear me out on this. I'm starting to think that maybe our other lead. This might actually have potential. Maybe we can just fuck with it, fuck with the effects a bit. Just give it like a lot of reverb or something. Go into the pro reverby thing here. Just pump this fucker up. Just give it a lot of early gain so we get the actual tone of it, but also a lot of late gain so we hear the tail of it. That might actually work. Bit crushed. This cannot be good. Cover your ears. Fucking hell. I mean, I am tempted to put something like this in it because it has to sound like really evil and menacing and all that shit, but let's find an actual instrument before. Maybe we can like have it on as a duplicate or something. What is all this shit? That is terrible. Maybe we don't need a synth bass for this yet. Maybe we should go and find an actual one of the fretless bass. How about long, nice. I don't know, man. Synth electric bass. Nope, that's not gonna be it. I spoke too soon. This might actually be it. So one thing we could do is, because there are actual notes in this. It's actually playing notes, but they're very, very low. So I'm just gonna try and up an octave. Zombie Gamer is way too generous, I know. This is good. This is really good. It's actually, it's overpoweringly good. This is gonna blow speakers. We don't want to actually do that, but dear God, that was close. Let's just try something else just for fun. Well, that's just a fucking letdown in comparison, isn't it? This might actually be good because it had like a long tail, and we can just turn it down in the mix, obviously. Just go like. Yeah. All right. So you're good. I just want to check what this little piffly thing over here. What does that do? That's just a cello farting. Why is that in the tune? So anyway, I think we're onto something good here. I still don't know what to do with the truck backing up here. Does anyone remember this from the game? I don't remember this. Good fucking god. Oh wait, I'm behind on the chat here. Wirebrain says, good god. Oh, there's a whole discussion going on here. Wirebrain, I know that player death is a sticking point with some. Oh, actually, sorry, this is Zelda Immortal saying player death is a sticking point with some adventure games, but I feel like some do it well. Wirebrain says, I think it should be clear the thing is dangerous before you interact with it directly. If you don't, you're an a-hole. Talk to the little kid. She kills you. Retry. And Wirebrain says, now if the little kid is hacking up a doll, then okay. So there's a whole conversation about player deaths. This is the wrong conversation to have when we're talking about Space Quest IV, because that was pretty much just player deaths every 2 seconds, really. Just everything in Space Quest IV wants you dead, wants to kill you. Again, back to the fucking music. Does anyone remember what this truck is supposed to be? I'm just gonna put in a random fucking patch, see what happens. Also, Angus Bohol says, I hate that sound. Get rid of it. Which sound? The truck backing up sound? Alexander says he remembers the truck sound, but it always sounded awful. We could put something like that in there. I mean, I'm not saying we have to, but it's just like a little bloop, bloop, bloop. We can do that. We can take some, like, liberties is the word. That is not a word that should not come to you readily, but it was. It's just like a stabby think keyboard. Let's do harpsichord. Maybe maybe a Celeste. A Celeste usually. Something like that, maybe. And just shower the fucking thing in reverb. By the way, do people say reverb or reverb? Hashtag second language. I've always wondered. It's an accent thing, I'm sure. Okay, let's get this. Wyron says the Space Quest IV gave you a pretty damn fair warning with the unstable ordnance, slime, no cheap shots. Even the zombie monsters clearly. Oh yeah. I didn't say it wasn't clearly like. There are no cheap deaths in Space Quest IV, but there's a lot of them. Like deaths, I mean, not cheap ones, but there's like a lot of them. Wybrain says reverb, and Vocabra says reverbadzia. Because he's Russian. He's stealing all your personal information right now. Okay, let's check this out. Most people seem to say reverb. And I think that's an American thing. I think in Britain you'd say reverb. Something reverberates anyway. I know it doesn't reverberate. Actually, now that I say it, it might can do that. Enwaith asks, was there a downgraded version of the audio in this game if you played the 16-color version? No, that's visuals and audio are independent of each other when you're talking old DOS games. You could play the shitty looking 16-color version of Space Quest IV and still have the most glorious audio of all time. Full MT32, digitized voices, everything just pumping out of your speakers. You could play the shitty 4-color CG. I don't think you can actually punch it into 4-color CGA, but if you could still have that and grandiose audio. Or you could play the 256-color VGA version, spectacular graphics, and fucking PC speaker. Single tone PC speaker. The two are independent of each other. It all came down to what you had in your computer. Interestingly, I recently found out that there are 2 different 16-color versions of Space Quest IV. There's a proper one that came out on floppy disks that was sold as the 16-color version and only the 16-color version. There's that one. And there's also what happens when you take the 256-color version on either floppy disks or CD-ROM and in the setup program tell it to use 16 colors. It sort of downgrades the 256 color version, perhaps through some automated process or something. I don't know, but for whatever reason, there are 2 different versions of Space Quest IV in 16 colors. Okay, Wirebrain has a thing in the chat. Everyone, adventure or story game you'd give to a beginner player? Go. Loom. Loom is a perfect beginner's adventure game. It's beautiful, it's magical, it's still representative of a point and click nature enough without overwhelming the player, and there's an immediate connection between what you have to do interface wise and what's happening in the game. It's not an abstract here's your look cursor, here's your hand cursor, here's your talk cursor. It's like a direct, you've got a staff, you've got a bit of notation, off you scoot. And that's how you solve every puzzle in the game. Loom is a really good, beginner's adventure game. Vukama says, I recall there's one specific version of Loom that's the best, the others are worse. DOS Nostalgic always comments on that. Yes, quickly. When I did my Loom playthrough with a bunch of really cool people who were acting out the dialogue, and also the game's creator, Brian Moriarty, we were playing the FM Towns version. The FM Towns was a Japanese computer that had 256 color graphics. The games came on CD-ROM, but they didn't have like voices and shit. They were basically just PC games, but with higher resolution graphics, and they had CD audio for music. So Loom came out for the FM Towns. Thanks for the follow, by the way, Mocha Aoba Bread. Nice handle. Anyway, came out for that, and it has wonderful 256 color graphics, but it retains all the dialogue that was from the original floppy version. The original floppy version was 16 colors only, although a gorgeous use of 16 colors and a bunch of wonderful dialogue. And the 16 color version is like the original one. Then you have the FM Towns one, which ups the graphics but retains all the dialogue. And then you have the CD-ROM version of Loom, the one that actually came out on PC CD-ROM, IBM PC CD-ROMs, which butchered all the dialogue because they wanted to add voiceover, but it runs off the voices run off the CD as like a standard CD audio thing. So they only had about like 60 minutes of audio to cram into an entire full-length game. So they had to butcher all the audio. A bunch of wonderful graphic close-ups of characters are missing. Never play the CD-ROM version of Loom unless for research purposes, for historical purposes. The CD-ROM version of Loom is atrocious, and for a long time it was the only thing you could get legally on Steam and GOG. The CD-ROM version was the only one. Thankfully, they've started selling Loom, the original 16 color version, along with the CD-ROM version, so you can get either one of those. And granted, the 16 color version is fantastic. A lot of people really want to play the FM Towns version because it has graphics on par with the CD-ROM version, but retains all the dialogue that they cut out of the CD-ROM version. However, when I played it with, and this was what I was trying to get back to, when I did play it with all the voice actors we had and Brian Moriarty, who created the game, I had, at least in my mind, I'd read somewhere that Brian Moriarty thought the FM Towns version was the best one, so that's the one we played. But then I asked him, while the stream was running, I said something to the effect of, we're playing this because it is Brian Moriarty's favorite version of the game, and he said, nope, that's the 16 color version. I said, oh shit. I didn't realize. Anyway, so if you want to play the version preferred by the original author, play the 16 color EGA version of Loom. Yeah, see, we're onto something here. Check this out. Unsolo that and... Actually overpowering the other one a bit. I might just boost this one a little bit. Let's take this from the top. Let's see, because I'm starting to... I've heard the same thing too many times, so now I'm starting to get a bit blind to how it actually sounds like when you close your eyes and just listen to the whole thing. There's supposed to be a fade out there. So let's actually do the fade out. Good God. You know what? Actually might, because I want that to be a long fade out. A long fade out. Because now Roger's stuck on Streets of Xenon, and he is boned, B-O-N-E-D. So that's a long ass fade out, and that's basically like the intro suite, like the not even the overture. The overture's not. I don't know what, and whatever the hell you're supposed to be down here, I have no idea. But add a new track and just drag this fucking thing up here, because that is not supposed to be a brass instrument. This is the conclusion I'm slowly coming to. Zelda Immortal has noticed non-sampled brass patches sometimes or mostly sound weak. No fucking kidding. We have noticed. So try a synthly. Just try something. Just something to punch this. Some ecstasy. We need some ecstasy in our lives. I realize how that sounds. Let's just solo this. See what kind of instrument we're dealing with. Probably not the sort of ecstasy we're looking for, but yeah, could be fun in and of itself. A sync. Now this doesn't. See, a lot of these lead instruments are monophonic instead of polyphonic, which means that if you hold down more than one key on a keyboard, it won't play both notes. It'll play whatever you hit, whatever key you hit last. So it can only play one note at a time. I think most of the soft leads are in a different pony slide. I have no idea. Maybe a bass. Maybe some bassness. Maybe something. Maybe an evil bass. How evil do we want to be? This is weird. Maybe a fat saw bass. I don't know what the fuck happened, but maybe it sounds good. And yes, Angus, I was talking about something ecstasy, but not what you're thinking. How the hell does this sound? I have no idea what this piffly thing over here is supposed to be, and it's clashing with the rest of the goodness we've got. Also, would this new patch sound good with the... Oh god, that's out of sync. No, it wouldn't sound good. I was just checking if the patch actually sounded good when you played it next to the Michael Jackson bass. It doesn't. I mean, I think we're onto something. I just want this thing to shut up here. You know what? I think we're onto something, but whatever we're doing is going to have to wait until next time. So anyway, thanks so much for checking in on this stream. There will be more streams. On the 22nd, I'll be streaming something. I don't know. Next Sunday, I'll be streaming something. And on the 24th, I'll be doing my annual live stream, not a Christmas stream, with Torpedo Bear. We still haven't figured out what we're going to do, but we're going to do something. And I might stream on the 29th? I don't know. Odds are I'm going to forget. So don't bank on it, but it is a Sunday and I'm technically not doing anything. So might stream on the 29th. And again, I don't know what, but anyway, those will be the last streams of the year, obviously. I won't stop streaming until like the end of January. So the 5th, the 12th, and the 19th might be good. But after that, after the, because, you know, dude's supposed to plop out on the 15th. I don't think he will. I think he'll plop out closer to the 20th. But anyway, we'll see. It's right around here that shit starts getting real. So we might be looking at 2, 3, 4 live streams, maybe. Not counting the Christmas stream. I don't know. We'll see. So please do check back for that. And I will also be making some videos, just some one-off videos, instead of the usual series that we've got going on. So I'm not going to go away right away, but come the end of January, it's time for that little hiatus. Where's my end credits? There you guys are. Good God. Display capture, please. Depart from this world. Right, so once again, thank you guys so much for checking in on this. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I hope to see you in my new adventure in 2020 as an actual game developer. As I have taken the plunge, and there was a big Patreon post about that over on patreon.com, and I also announced it on Twitter. If you go to patreon.com/SpaceQuestHistorian, you'll see some new tiers to pledge on that are more in keeping with my future as an adventure game developer, and I will have a video out in the next week about what I plan to do for my first project. There's been some good questions coming in about what does it mean? Why am I not doing YouTube anymore? Why am I making my own games and such? It's a little more complicated than that, but I'll fill you in the coming week or something. So oh, that's the end of the credits. Bye. See you around the Chrono stream.